rather than trying to strike into your pipe head. So. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Healeyverse Creations, place where anything could be next. Today we're going to be sticking with the Hobbit theme, and I'm going to be looking at making a pouch for your Longbottom leaf. Let's see how that goes. So, to start this, obviously the last video that I did, I'd made this little pipe pug here, or pipe frog, Neficus, whichever you prefer really. But we did agree, kind of small and hobbity, it's a bit like the Living in Smiles, you know, they're a very small, cute kind of people, so it felt fitting. Anyway, I realised that, you know, it's one thing to have your pipe able to transport around with you, but you're not going to want to carry your entire barrel of Longbottom leaf with you. You know, you want to go on a fishing trip, you don't want to be taking a whole thing, you just want a nice concealable little pouch that you can tuck your stuff into. So I kind of figured that, you know, it's one thing to be able to have your pipe with you at all times, but you're not necessarily going to keep all of your Longbottom leaf in your pipe at one go. Maybe you want to be able to take some of that with you as well. Plus, I never really fitted the pipe out with any means of lighting the pipe, so I plan on doing the same thing with this. So it's going to be a nice, simple, easy and efficient, hopefully, design. First thing I did was cut out a rectangle of leather. I decided to go for something nice and thick and sturdy. I wanted it to kind of hold its own form so that it wouldn't crush whatever was inside of it. So I went for this nice, thick, hardened stuff. Honestly, I can't remember what size I cut it to. I felt like it was like 130mm by 200-ish, something like that. So I think I'd cut it to around 130mm by 200 odd-ish, there or thereabouts. And then I just punched the holes up the two sides. Then all I had to do, I did make this next piece a little paper template, and all I did was I cut out a strip about 20-25mm wide, and then I took a 10p coin, sat that at the tip of it, used that as a little guide to make a perfect circular end on it, and then I cut the circle off it. So the next thing, I used that template, and obviously I cut myself two little pieces of this nice red leather, because I've decided that the way I want this to close is to like tie over with a cord, and my choices are red or brown, and I've decided to go with red. So I found some nice deep red leather, same stuff that I've used on the coin pouch and on the pipe hook. So they'll be like a little matching set, all of the fingers crossed. So yeah, I cut myself my two little pieces of that. At this point, it was when I decided that I was going to change my approach ever so slightly. One thing I haven't mentioned up to this point was that initially my design was going to incorporate this. This is a flint and steel that one of my best friends got me about 10 years ago. And that best friend was my wife. Like she knew one day it was going to be used. However, because of the method of which I'm going to be transporting this pouch around, I'm a bit reluctant to have this attached to it in a way that it could possibly fall off or get snapped. So I'm going to rethink of something else that this goes with in the future. And for today, since according to some people, the hobbits used matches apparently, so I'm going to go with matches since it's a little bit more efficient. You get more of a flame rather than trying to strike into your pipe head. Giggity. You can just light a little match up. So what I decided to do was cut a second piece of leather for each of these two sides. It's actually the same whitey coloured leather that I used on the Wizard one sheath that I made. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. We tried something a bit different with that one. It got a bit long-winded. I did my thing where I ramble a lot. This thing I'm doing now, I did that, but for a lot longer. Anyway, same stuff that I used on that. It's like this nice whitey colour. What I did was I cut that to use on the inside of the two sides because the outer piece is very solid. On the inside and out, quite firm. And if I want to, I could always lay a piece of leather shiny side out on the inside of it, just to keep your Longbottom leaf away from getting any fuzzy bits or anything in it. So I kind of had a similar idea for the sides. I thought, rather than putting something I can take in and out, I'll firmly attach two pieces of leather, stitch them together around the sides when I seal the pouch together. And what this will leave me is a little compartment in the middle, which is going to be where we store our matches. Are you with me? So that was it. Once I'd started stitching, which I only managed to film a little bit of, it was at this point that my camera died, and I didn't realise. So I carried on doing the rest of the stitching, but what I didn't manage to get was me attaching the front additional piece. Now, it was very simple. I'll show you on the screen what it looks like. All I had to do really was punch 2 rows of 6 holes parallel to each other running up the closing flap of the pouch. In the centre, how I did this, I used my 2-hole punch at the first end, and then I ran the 6-hole punch alongside it up in a vertical line parallel from the sides of the thing, and then at the end of that I did another 2-punch to make sure that it was keeping the same distance, and then I used my second 6-punch to run between those two. So I kind of did it in a 1, 2, all 6, 1, 2, all 6 up to that one, so that I knew everything was going to stay square. Then it was just a case of laying in my piece of cord that I want to close it all shut, and then doing a cross stitch over the top of it. I decided that I was going to have the cross on the outside. At first I was thinking maybe have it so it was just the horizontal stitch lines running on the outside, but then I was like, nah, we'll go for the cross, because it just, we like the cross stitch. So that was what I did, and at that point I was pretty much done, or so I thought. I had one more thing left to do, because what I hadn't thought about once I'd put these matches in, it was luckily Katie and my mother were actually having a conversation about it, and drew to my attention that I need something to strike the matches on. So I was like, good shout. So dragged out some, I think it's like 80 odd grit sandpaper. It's far too heavy duty for what it actually needs, but it works. So I just cut myself 2 strips of that for either side, slotted them in, and then these matches that I'm using at the moment are windproof matches. So they are a lot chunkier really than they need to be. If I was going on an actual event or something, I'd just have regular matches in, because you can get more of them in this. But then what I'd probably do is maybe keep 1 or 2 windproof ones in the other side as well. But at that, we are done. So one thing that I've realised since recording the sit down and talking bit is that my strap that I put around the pipe also fits perfectly around this, which means that the little strap on the back can hang on your braces, can just sit there with your pipe and your pouch on it. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to pretend like I planned that all along. Shh, don't tell anyone. And here it is, and that's perfect, exactly what it needed to be. Nice and solid, and I mean solid, like it's firm all round. It doesn't block in the matches and the tape, so once you've got your pipe you don't necessarily have to open it all up just to be able to get your matches out. You can get to them quite easily from the side here. I say quite easily, with no fingernails it's not quite as easy. And again, if they were skinnier matches, but there we go. And then you can just... And the other thing, I managed to leave the sandpaper slightly high so I can strike it without actually even having to take those out of the pouch either. So really you only have to open the pouch to fill and refill your pipe or pouch. You don't have to open and close it just to get at your matches. You need to keep that there, just in case you guys haven't seen the last one. Go watch it. Oh my god. Cool, but that's it. And then the slot back in. Everything keeps tucked in and safe, weatherproof. And then you can either just drop it in your pocket. I had potentially thought of like having a way that you could attach it to your braces or your belt or anything, you know, a bit like I did with the pipe hook. But I thought, you know what, don't overcomplicate the situation. Everything doesn't need to hang off another point. Hobbits are very simple creatures. They don't necessarily have pouches and sword frogs hanging off everything. That's why they don't have lots of belts and straps or things like that. You know, they carry baskets and cloth wrap sacks and stuff like that. So they're simple people. A pocket's more than sufficient for keeping your Longbottom leaf. And like I say, then whenever you need to refill your pipe, you just poof, out it comes. Very simple. This just ties together. It wraps through itself, and then tension keeps it closed. If you want to get it open, you just open that, and there you go. And like I say, I could always cut a separate strip of leather to sit on the inside so that it's got a shiny side on the inside, but since I'm not actually going to be putting any Longbottom leaf in this, it's fine. But if you do decide to make it yourself, that's a very, very simple thing to do. Like I say, you literally just cut yourself a strip of leather that's the same width, and you just lay it in the bottom. You don't even need it to come out of the top. You just make yourself a little U shape that sits in this area of the pouch, and then that gives you a shiny inside so that your leaf isn't getting filled with little fibres and everything, because then as soon as you pull this over and you string it round, you're good to go. And like I said, the way it actually closes over should leave you in a way that you can get to most of your matches. I say most of. It's not an exact science, obviously, but you know, none of this stuff is. And when you're a Middle-earth hobbit, I don't think you're going to be too picky about whether or not you can get to every single one of your matches without opening it. You're probably too busy just chuckling at Gandalf's fireworks or something to care about stuff like that. But yes, that is it, guys. With that, we are pretty much done. A nice short one this time. Like I say, I've probably rambled on a little bit longer than I'd intended to, but I feel like I've done okay with this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what would you have done differently. What would you have added to it? Would you have done different colours? Would you have gone for the flint and steel? Or do you think that's a little bit too overkill for the lack of results you'd actually get out of it on a first try? Whereas, you know, matches, you can't go wrong. And it's not like you're turning up with a Zippo lighter and totally destroying everyone's immersion. So let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know maybe what you'd like to see next. You know, you're always welcome to start sending in some ideas of the sort of things that you'd maybe like to see. Anything that we've done in the past that you'd like to see a better version of, a more improved version of, let us know. I did it with no dog barking, it was silent. If only they knew that I spent the first 12 minutes of the first video not being able to talk because of the dog. And I'm going to try and keep it short, animals permitted. It was so stressful. I only nearly died a little bit inside. Other than that, it was totally fine. And also, don't forget, if you're interested in more things Middle-earth and, you know, maybe things a bit more on the lore side, we like to talk a lot of lore and Middle-earth and Star Wars, and we have just the place for you. It's our other channel. It's called The Lore Dimension. Absolutely recommend going and checking it out. Katie does a really good job of sitting and talking through all kinds of crazy little worlds. There's a lot of little shorts and things. I believe one of the next ones she's going to be doing is on a particularly powerful entity in the world of Star Wars, so if you want to find out more about that, go and check it out. And before you go, we recently decided to start pushing for our Patreon, because this kind of thing, not only does it cost money to make, but we're also hoping to dive into the YouTube and really push forward with it as a living in the future if possible. You all have the power to make that possible should you fancy helping out. If not, as long as you've subscribed, it's absolutely fine, we'll forgive you. But with that said, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you've maybe picked up something that you might make yourself, or thought of something that you could potentially make for someone else as a gift. Maybe you're going to the Brandywine Festival, maybe you know someone who's going to the Brandywine Festival. Fancy making someone a quick little thing? I made this in about an hour, so I have every confidence that you can do it as well. It doesn't take much material or time. Best of luck to you. Don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, you can always like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll be alerted next time we post, and you can keep up with whatever it is we're up to here on a weekly basis, and you'll be informed whenever we post. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I very much look forward to seeing you on the next one, whatever that could be. Bunny, where you going? Hello, you being playful? The rabbit had to have a little surgery yesterday, so she's coming back out of it, but she's doing okay. She does not like us at the minute. And on the on the pipe hook, I used my 2-punch hole, so we're going to try and keep this one nice and simple. So. Okay. So, we're going to try and keep this one nice and simple. Sorry. I'm laughing now, I can't stop. So, we're going to try and keep this one. So, that's it. Nothing too technical. And that's it. Nothing too technical. And that's it. I made it. I will survive. You'll be informed whenever we're posted.